I almost grabbed him by the throat. It was kind of, I had to get myself under control. I was so excited at the prospect of actually making this.
Hugh Laurie's journey from Cambridge Footlights comedian to Emmy-nominated dramatic actor represents one of television's most remarkable reinventions. The British performer who charmed audiences as the bumbling Bertie Wooster transformed himself into the acerbic genius Dr. Gregory House, earning global acclaim and redefining what American audiences expected from leading men. His intellectual approach to performance, honed through years of sophisticated British comedy.
It is actually long enough for me to have become a nephrologist, a board-certified nephrologist. I mean, I could have become the real thing, and here I am still, 8 years later, faking it.
Brought unprecedented depth to medical drama. Yet beneath Laurie's affable public persona lay the exacting standards of a classically trained performer who had little patience for what he perceived as American television's shortcuts and compromises. His transition from ensemble comedy to dramatic leading man created unexpected friction with colleagues who couldn't match his relentless pursuit of authenticity. These weren't petty personality clashes, but fundamental disagreements about craft, commitment, and the responsibilities that come with bringing complex characters to life. Laurie's hatred of certain actors stemmed from his frustration with performers who seemed content with mediocrity, who treated television as a stepping stone rather than an art form worthy of complete devotion. His British sensibilities often collided with Hollywood's star system, creating professional tensions that simmered beneath the surface of one of television's most successful medical dramas. These conflicts reveal the hidden costs of perfectionism and the cultural divides that persist even within collaborative creative environments. Today, we explore 6 actors who earned Hugh Laurie's particular disdain through their approach to the craft he held sacred and the professional relationships that couldn't survive his uncompromising artistic vision. 6th, Robert Sha Leonard. Robert Sha Leonard's 8-season partnership with Hugh Laurie on House should have been television's perfect dramatic friendship, but their off-camera relationship deteriorated into what crew members described as,
"Make it my fault, is that right? Yeah. Well, show me the working."
Show you what?
The working. Show me the math. How does that work?
professional warfare conducted through British politeness. Laurie's frustration with Leonard stemmed not from personal animosity, but from fundamental disagreements about the craft of television acting. Leonard's method approach clashed violently with Laurie's technical precision, creating an atmosphere of barely concealed artistic contempt. The tension began during the second season when Leonard started questioning House's diagnostic methods, insisting on researching actual medical cases to inform Wilson's emotional responses. Laurie found this approach pretentious and time-consuming, preferring to trust the writer's expertise and focus on delivering dialogue with maximum impact. Script supervisor Janet Hershenson later revealed that Hugh would roll his eyes whenever Bobby started talking about emotional truth instead of just hitting his marks. Leonard's perceived challenge to Laurie's leadership became most apparent during table reads, where the younger actor would suggest alternative interpretations that subtly undermined House's intellectual superiority. Director Katie Jacobs recalled the growing tension. Bobby seemed determined to make Wilson more than just a sounding board, which Hugh saw as missing the entire point of their dynamic. This creative rebellion disguised as collaboration infuriated Laurie's sense of narrative hierarchy. The breaking point came during season 4, when Leonard lobbied producers for Wilson-centric episodes, arguing that the character deserved independent storylines. Laurie's response was characteristically cutting. Perhaps Bobby should write his own show if he's unsatisfied with this one's focus. Their professional relationship never recovered from what Laurie privately termed the co-star's delusion that supporting means competing. 5. Jennifer Morrison. Jennifer Morrison's portrayal of Dr. Allison Cameron represented everything Hugh Laurie despised about American television's approach to casting and character development. Their professional relationship soured not through personal conflict.
You gonna pay for that?
Nice of you to offer. Now I can actually get some cream cheese.
29-year-old teacher. She works with special needs children. She...
Love what you're wearing. Brings out the blue of the case file. Means it's not from the ER. So why are you here?
because Dr. Cuddy is not here.
But through Laurie's growing frustration with what he perceived as Morrison's limited emotional range and reliance on superficial charm over substantive performance, her 3-season tenure became a masterclass in how creative differences can poison even the most successful productions. The friction began during Morrison's audition process, where Laurie had advocated for a different actress entirely. He felt Morrison's previous work in romantic comedies hadn't prepared her for the intellectual demands of medical drama. Producer David Shore later admitted that Hugh questioned whether Jennifer could handle Cameron's complexity beyond the obvious romantic subplot. This skepticism became a self-fulfilling prophecy as Laurie's dismissive attitude influenced Morrison's confidence. Morrison's approach to Cameron's unrequited love for House struck Laurie as one-dimensional and predictable. He found her emotional beats repetitive, lacking the nuanced layers he believed the character deserved. Director Greg Yaitans recalled Laurie's private criticism. He said Jennifer was playing the same note in different keys rather than exploring Cameron's psychological depth. This fundamental disagreement about character interpretation created ongoing tension during their scenes together. The situation deteriorated when Morrison began requesting script changes to make Cameron more assertive and professionally competent. Laurie viewed these suggestions as missing the character's essential vulnerability and tragic romantic obsession. His resistance to her creative input was interpreted as professional sabotage rather than artistic disagreement. Laurie's final assessment was devastating. Jennifer confused being likable with being compelling, which is the difference between television and cinema. 4. Jesse Spencer. Jesse Spencer's dual career as both actor and musician became a constant source of irritation for Hugh Laurie, who viewed such divided attention as fundamentally disrespectful to the craft of dramatic television. Their cultural clash, British perfectionism versus Australian casualness, created an atmosphere of professional tension that crew members described as watching two different work ethics collide in slow motion. Spencer's approach to acting as just another job, rather than a calling, appalled Laurie's artistic sensibilities. The conflict began when Spencer would arrive on set directly from band rehearsals, still carrying guitar calluses and discussing upcoming concerts during medical scenes. Laurie found this unprofessional behavior indicative of misplaced priorities. Sound engineer Rick Klein later revealed that Hugh would visibly cringe when Jesse talked about his music career between takes of life and death hospital scenes. Spencer's performance as Dr. Robert Chase suffered from what Laurie perceived as lack of preparation and emotional commitment. His Australian accent would occasionally slip through during intense dramatic moments, breaking the medical authenticity that Laurie worked meticulously to maintain. Director David Straighten recalled Laurie's frustration. He said Jesse was treating Chase like a part-time job while expecting full-time recognition. The breaking point came during contract negotiations when Spencer used his music commitments to leverage better scheduling terms. Laurie interpreted this as holding the production hostage for personal convenience. His response was characteristically sharp. Perhaps Jesse should decide whether he's an actor who plays music or a musician who occasionally acts. Their relationship never recovered from what Laurie saw as Spencer's fundamental misunderstanding of television's collaborative demands versus individual artistic pursuits. 3. Omar Epps. Omar Epps' portrayal of Dr. Eric Foreman created an unexpected cultural battleground between his urban American background and Hugh Laurie's classical British training. Their clash wasn't about race or background, but about fundamentally different approaches to dramatic authenticity. Laurie's frustration with Epps stemmed from what he perceived as the American actor's reliance on personal experience over technical skill, creating a professional tension that simmered throughout their collaboration. Epps' method acting approach involved extensive medical research and consultations with real neurologists to inform Foreman's diagnostic techniques. Laurie found this approach both unnecessary and disruptive to the show's narrative flow. Producer Katie Jacobs later revealed that Hugh believed Omar was overcomplicating what should be straightforward dramatic beats. This philosophical divide about preparation versus instinct created ongoing friction during their scenes together. The tension escalated when Epps began improvising dialogue based on his medical research. adding technical terminology that Laurie felt undermined the show's accessibility. His background in hip-hop influenced films brought a naturalistic style that clashed with Laurie's more theatrical approach. Director Daniel Sackheim recalled the cultural disconnect. Omar would bring street authenticity while Hugh demanded classical precision. Laurie's private assessment was brutally direct. Omar confused authenticity with autobiography, which is the difference between acting and therapy. 2. Olivia Wild. Olivia Wilde's arrival on House as the enigmatic Dr. Remy 13 Hadley should have injected fresh energy into the show's 4th season, but her collaboration with Hugh Laurie quickly devolved into what industry insiders described as a masterclass in generational warfare. Wilde's approach to television as a launching pad for film career ambitions clashed violently with Laurie's devotion to the medium as an art form worthy of complete commitment. The friction began immediately when Wild negotiated clauses allowing her to pursue film projects during House hiatuses, something Laurie viewed as fundamentally disrespectful to ensemble television's collaborative demands. Her mysterious character backstory became secondary to what Laurie perceived as Wild's transparent networking efforts with visiting directors and producers. Script coordinator Sarah Boyd later revealed that Hugh would watch Olivia working the room during breaks, and you could see his disgust building. Wild's preparation style involved extensive character journals and backstory development that went far beyond the script's requirements. Laurie found this approach self-indulgent and time-consuming, preferring actors who could deliver compelling performances without elaborate personal preparation rituals. Their scenes together became exercises in professional tolerance rather than creative collaboration. The breaking point came when Wild began declining publicity appearances for House to promote her film projects, forcing Laurie to shoulder additional promotional responsibilities. His response was characteristically cutting. Perhaps Olivia should inform the writers that 13 is too busy for diagnosis work. Their relationship never recovered from what Laurie saw as fundamental disrespect for television's collaborative nature. 1. Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry's placement at the top of Hugh Laurie's hatred list represents the most painful professional relationship in the British actor's career. The dissolution of one of comedy's most celebrated partnerships into bitter artistic rivalry. Their friendship, forged at Cambridge and celebrated through A Bit of Fry and Laurie, couldn't survive the competitive pressures of individual success and divergent career paths across 2 different entertainment cultures. The tension began when Fry publicly criticized American television as intellectually inferior to British programming, while Laurie was achieving unprecedented success with House. This perceived betrayal of their shared professional journey struck Laurie as both hypocritical and personally vindictive. Producer David Shore later revealed that Hugh felt Stephen was diminishing his greatest achievement out of professional jealousy, disguised as artistic principle. The breaking point came during a 2010 interview where Fry suggested that Laurie had compromised his comedic genius for American commercial success. This public dismissal of 8 years of Emmy-nominated dramatic work destroyed their decades-long partnership. Laurie's response was devastatingly final. Stephen taught me that some friendships can't survive one person's success in areas the other person fears to attempt. Hugh Laurie's perfectionist standards and cultural expectations created inevitable conflicts with colleagues who couldn't match his artistic devotion. Subscribe for more stories of television's most demanding stars.